Wesley is on the right, Leon is on our left. Wesley has the very patriotic scarf, and he's got his World Magic Cup qualifiers top 8 playmat from just 2 weeks ago. Wesley also top 8'd a modern PTQ just last week, so that's 2 top 8s in 2 consecutive weeks. He's hungry to win a Magic tournament. He wants his ticket to the big show.
We can have a slight look at Leon's hand. I think I see 2 Boros charm, possibly an Eidolon.
Wesley, I know, has at least 1 mountain and 1 Rabble master, and that's good enough to keep.
It looks like we're going to see a mulligan here. Leon is mulligan.
I believe it's Wesley to play first, so my prediction then is that Wesley wins. This kind of matchup, having the first turn is crucially important.
Is it true what they say, that as a red deck, wins type deck, you need a full grip of 7 cards to win? Do you think this mulligan is going to be a hindrance?
If he were on the play, I'd say that the mulligan would hurt him more. Being on the draw, the mulligan is a bit less painful. The thing is, though, the burn deck especially just needs enough cards to win. It has to trade cards 1 for 1 for damage, and if it doesn't have enough cards to do that, it can't get there. Wesley, on the other hand, has recurring sources of damage in the creatures. So Wesley looks favourite for this game, certainly. He's got 1 more card, he's going first, everything's in his favour.
I don't know if I would call this a mirror match, particularly because of the difference between non-creature to creature spells in each player's deck.
Yeah, although the mana bases are similar and there is some overlap of spells, the 2 decks have very different plans. Wesley's deck is putting stuff on the board, whereas Leon's deck is just pointing it straight at the opponent.
Will it always be correct to point it at the opponent this game?
Not always. If there's a Fire Drinker Satyr down on the board, you point your removal at that, because the burn still deals the same amount of damage, and you get the free creature. Sometimes, you know, a 2-power creature can end up getting in for 6, 8, even 10 damage in one of these games, so occasionally it's worth burning up a shock just to get rid of something early.
All
The
right.
question is whether Leon has enough cards in hand to do that.
We see each player having lands in hand. Here's the first turn.
Wesley's made the perfect opening for the Rabble Red deck with a Foundry Street Denizen.
Oh, Leon's land comes into play tapped.
He is scrying. He's thinking deeply about whether to keep this card.
Do you think possibly he's searching for a mountain?
It's hard to say. I don't see any in his hand. So he might be light on lands. That would explain how long he's thinking about this scry for.
I believe he has a Mutavault in hand.
Yeah, he does
And
have a Mutavault in hand, but a lot of his cards require double red or red-white.
He does have a second Foundry.
Sacred. So then he does
not
have
Sacred
the
Foundry, Temple. Sorry.
the second Temple of Triumph.
Yes.
And he does have the mana he needs to get going. Can he keep up with this onslaught that Wesley's putting out? That's an Ash Seller to join the Foundry Street Denizen.
And it has haste, which means it's getting in this turn.
Yeah, Leon is already down to 16, and he's yet to do anything but scry. If he was looking for a mountain, he now has it.
Okay, there's that scry that we see coming into effect. I believe he did tuck the first card.
Yeah, he bottomed the first card, and he's drawn a land. I think that is what he was looking for. Yeah, he's played it right away.
I suppose the question now is, what does he cast with it? We know he
That
has the
does seem
Boros
to be
Charm
the
in hand.
question.
Does he burn a creature or does he go to the dome?
I think it's too early to start throwing his burn. And if he is going to play burn, he's going to play it at the end of Wesley's turn. The ideal turn to play for Leon in this kind of matchup is the young Pyromancer. Those tokens getting on the defensive can make a huge difference to this matchup. Wesley looks like he's put his +1/+1 counter on the wrong creature. He's fixed it now.
Remember, he does have 2 triggers for Foundry Street Denizen this turn.
So I think that is an attack for 6 damage.
Yes,
Is Leon
that's
going
correct.
to kill something on the board, or is it going to be damage that is he going to start throwing burn to the face?
I think at this point, if he starts 1-for-1ing his burn spells for creatures, He's not going to trade profitably because there's always going to be more creatures on the board than he can handle.
Yeah. And remember that most of his burn spells cost more than 1 mana. Wesley's creatures are mostly 1-drops. He can't keep up tempo if all he's doing is removing creatures. But I don't know if he has a choice right now except to take something off the board and just stop this pressure.
Well, he's added 2 mana to his mana pool. What is he going to do with it?
Oh, he gets to do both. Searing Blood. It's going to kill one of Wesley's creatures and deal him damage. He seems to be torn between the Foundry Street Denizen and the Ash Zealot. He's gone for the Foundry Street Denizen, actually. It's a cheaper creature, but its damage output can be very high in the Rabble Red deck.
We know that next turn, if Wesley drops another creature, neither of the creatures on his board that swung in this turn will get bigger. So perhaps the Foundry Street Denizen was the right choice.
Yeah, Rabble Master also pumps Foundry Street Denizen up to huge damage output. Leon, though, is already down to 13 life, and he needs to get back in this game. Looks like he's chaining Ash Zealot to the rocks. Chain to the rocks actually might be the reason he was digging for a mountain with his Scribe.
Indeed.
Even if his other lands make mana for him, he still needs something that's a valid target for Chain to the Rocks. Wesley's early starts has petered out a little bit here. He's only got 3 power on the board, and he's yet to make his 3rd land drop. He has Rebel Master in hand, but doesn't have the 3rd land to play it. I think we're going to see an Eidolon of the Great Revel.
He does seem to be mulling over the cards in his hand. But, as we know in a red deck, you turn your dude sideways before you cast more spells.
It gives him time to think about it, while the other guy has to think about what to do in combat.
He does have 2 mana open, one of which is red, so Leon can make a play here.
He could, potentially... Is that a Mutavault he has in play?
Yes, it is.
He could just float it using his 1 mana and eat the Legion Loyalist.
Indeed.
He must be worried though about Wesley having a burn spell in hand to kill his Mutavault. Leon, I don't think, can afford to go down 1 land right now. I don't think that's what Wesley is planning to do, so he's actually got a very powerful bluff here. Oh, Leon has just gone for it. He is blocking the Loyalist with the Mutavault.
We do see the block, and we do see a lightning strike.
Lightning Strike is doing its best impression of Stone Rain for Wesley here.
Ooh, down a land, and did not block any of that damage.
He just plays out a Sacred Foundry tapped, and Wesley has another go at it. He has drawn the 3rd land. I think Rabble Master is going to see the board.
Yes,
Wesley goes straight for Goblin Rabble Master. And Leon is not letting that stay. That's a very old school shock that Leon is using there.
He's still got the Boros Charm in hand.
But it's not doing a lot to stop Wesley's assault on his life total.
And we see him draw another land.
Because at this point, Leon is down to 10 life. And that's not a huge buffer for this kind of deck.
Ah, we did see him keep his Scry card on top. Perhaps it's something that can help him.
Yeah, maybe it's a War Leader's Helix to gain him back some of this life that he's losing. Remember that Wesley's still on 20, so he has the luxury to do whatever he wants at this stage. His life total is under no pressure.
Ah, we see an Eidolon on the board now.
If that hangs around for a few turns, Leon can find himself very deeply in trouble. Looks like he's tapping... Yes, Leon is playing a Skullcrack. He's just going straight to Wesley's Dome now. He's doing that while the Eidolon's on the stack, so he's not taking any damage from the Eidolon.
For 2. Yeah. Very smart move, though.
Still,
the Eidolon is on the board.
Yeah, and Leon has yet to deal... That's the first damage that Leon has dealt to Wesley.
And without his Mutavault, he's going to be hard-pressed to find a creature threat.
Yeah. Wesley is not on 17 life. He's taken damage from playing a Sacred Foundry untapped, so I think he's on 15. But that's not under much pressure. And that Eidolon is still on the board, which means that just casting things can put Leon into trouble.
For a Boros burn deck, it seems that Leon is playing very much a draw-go type style.
He's been forced into the control role in this game. Fire Drinker Satyr is in hand for Wesley. Legion Loyalist
on the board.
If Leon has War Leader's Helix in hand, though, it has to point at the Eidolon of the Great Rebel.
He won't take 2 damage off of it because of it being a 4-mana spell, but at least he'll get rid of the Eidolon.
This is interesting. Wesley is choosing to keep his Legion Loyalists back on this attack. The only reason to do that is to use them for Convoke, for Stoke the Flames.
There it is. There it is.
So 4 extra damage to Leon. And Leon he's conceding. Leon is going to go to game 2 and see if that treats him any better.
On to game 2. A very one-sided match that we saw in game 1 there.
Seems like the winning the die roll did pay off for Wesley. Leon never really got into that game.
No. Let's hope that being on the play this time will help him out. He's also got a full grip of cards.
Well, he's yet to make his mulligan decision. Both of them look like they're going to keep these.
There is land.
Yeah, Leon is keeping his 7, but Wesley is going to grab a new 6.
Ah, the tables have turned.
Yeah, it looked like Wesley flushed that one because it was land heavy. Yeah, Wesley has a lot of experience getting flooded with his Rabble Red deck. That's exactly what happened to him in the final game of the final match at the first WMCQ. Wesley played 2 spells and drew 8 lands in that game and could never get going.
I do believe when you played him that he didn't have the white splash. Do you think it's making a difference now?
Well, it seems to be doing a number on his life total, but it hasn't mattered so far.
We haven't seen him cast a Chain to the Rocks yet. But the day is still early.
Yeah, his white splash doesn't change how the deck plays very significantly. It just gives him small advantages in certain matchups. The Boros Charm, of course, is the best card you can have against control. It just keeps your whole team alive through a Supreme Verdict. And the damage that his mana base is doing to him isn't too important in certain matchups. Mono Black isn't going to pressure his life total enough that it's going to matter in most of those games. So it's strong against some portions of the metagame, but it is a huge disadvantage in the mirror match and against this matchup right here.
We see a very balanced start from Wesley this time. Good hand.
Yeah, he's already opened with an untapped Sacred Foundry, so Wesley is starting the game on 18 life. Leon has made a more measured start. He played the same card, but he just put it in tapped, kept his life total safe. Wesley's once again opening with Foundry Street Denizen. Best opening card for this deck to play generally.
We see the second land from Leon. A mountain. Chain to the Rocks enabled.
I think he's just... Oh. Yes, Leon has Young Pyromancer. Every spell he casts now buys him a token. Which
perhaps this would have turned the game around for him in game 1.
An early Young Pyromancer is very powerful against Rabble Red.
Again, although the mana bases are the same, the decks have different plans. As much as Foundry Street Denizen is the perfect turn 1 play for Wesley, Young Pyromancer is the best turn 2 for Leon.
This is true. The Rabble Red does have one trump against the tokens that Young Pyromancer makes, and that's Legion Loyalist. It not only gives them first strike and trample, it also means that they can't be blocked by tokens. So if Wesley has Battalion and Legion Loyalist, the Pyromancer tokens are taken out of the game. But Leon has enough burn to make sure that those key creatures don't stick. Interesting choice from Wesley. He's playing Legion's Initiative post-combat. So he didn't get the 1 damage that he would have gotten by casting it pre-combat. I'm
perhaps
curious
to avoid a trade with the Young Pyromancer.
I can't imagine Leon would take that trade, so I'm not sure what Wesley's reasoning was. But we don't know what's in his hand. He could very easily have been considering a different play if Leon had done something else. Leon is thinking deeply about his third turn.
We haven't seen a third land yet.
He does have the Chain to the Rock, so if he needs to, he can...
okay,
he was
there's
thinking,
his draw.
He was debating an upkeep Magma Jet. You do that so that you can scry before your draw step. That's a good way of ensuring that you get the card you need in your draw step.
Well, it's good that he didn't have to. He drew that mountain.
And now he has 2 Young Pyromancers and he's got a shock for the Foundry Street Denizen.
Which also pulls out 2 tokens. Very
and
interesting.
he's likely to attack with his other Young Pyromancer, which sets Wesley back down to 16 life. If you look at Wesley's mana now, he already paid 2 life for the Sacred Foundry. Now he's got a Battlefield Forge as his other mana. So he's actually on 15. Sorry, he lost a life to the Battlefield Forge last turn. Wesley's mana base is hurting him just like we thought it might.
We do see the mountain in his hand now, pain-free.
But he's gone for a Mutavault instead to add to his board presence. Chandra's Phoenix comes down for Wesley. He takes 1 more damage from Battlefield Forge.
So
Wesley seems to be using the Phoenix as a blocker. He's not getting aggressive with it.
We did see it come out of the sideboard then.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his game plan with it is. Here, I think he's just going to use it to discourage Leon from attacking with his team. But Leon has chained to the rocks for it. Perfect answer to Chandra's Phoenix. And Wesley's picking them up. He's going to go to game 3.
Very wise concede. We were talking about Chain to the Rocks being the only permanent answer that each deck has to Chandra's Phoenix.
Yeah, neither of these decks are running anything like Banishing Light or Last Breath, because both of those, well, Banishing Light costs a bit too much for the deck's game plan, and Last Breath lets your opponent gain life, which is the opposite of these decks' game plan. Looks like Wesley has another strong opening
again
with
turn
the
one
Denizen once again.
It seems to be his blessed card.
Didn't work out well enough for him in the second game, though.
But we do see the same thing happening from game 1. Land coming in tapped, scry to the bottom.
Yeah, this lets Leon filter out his draws and set up his game plan for later on.
We do see plenty of mountains in his hand.
Wesley has none of the scry lands in his deck, so he's sacrificed that reliability for more speed.
I do believe there's that speed we were talking about, an Unleashed Rakdos Cackler.
He's not able to use both of his mana this turn because his second land is a Mutavault, and Mutavault doesn't actually tap for many of the spells in Wesley's deck. Most of his cards are just pure red, no colorless in their casting costs.
Assuming that it can avoid dying to a burn spell, though, it is a very good way to keep up pressure.
Yeah. Mutavault is also what you want if you are facing control and you get Supreme Verdict taking away your team. It gives you something left on the board to keep attacking with. This is Wesley's 3rd turn and his 3rd creature.
That's 1 trigger for the Legion Loyalist. That's 4 damage going in.
Wesley has decided to leave his Legion Loyalist back. It's not attacking. Oh, no, he has changed his mind.
There we go.
Yeah. So that's Wesley going in for 5 damage on Leon. Leon goes into the tank. He has a Magma Jet in hand and he must be thinking about using it.
Remember, if he points that Magma Jet to a creature, it's 1 less spell you can point to Wesley's dome.
Yeah, but this opening from Wesley can't go unanswered, or Leon will be dead long before he gets a chance to threaten 20 damage.
It's these types of decisions that actually make red deck wins decks very hard to pilot.
Looks like Leon has decided to take the damage.
Interesting decision there.
That puts him down on 13 life. And he's not using his mana. This is interesting play from Leon. I think this is his game plan.
There we go.
He has
Anger of the Gods
to clear away all of Wesley's creatures. That kind of 3-for-1 is hard to come back from.
And it's extremely potent from Leon's deck, considering he only has 8 creatures in his deck.
Yeah. And Wesley's mana is hurting him here. He doesn't have double red to cast his spell, so all he can do for now is attack in with a Mutavault.
There we do see the Mutavault, though, avoiding sorcery speed removal.
If that is all Wesley's going to be doing, that Magma Jet is going to take that Mutavault right off the board and leave Wesley on just 1 mana.
And we see a young Pyromancer, which would make it extremely profitable for Leon.
Yeah, Wesley needs to draw a second mountain, or he's not going to get into this game. Looks like Wesley is hesitating about animating his Mutavault, while Leon has open mana.
I think he can very much sense the burn spell.
Leon seems to be... Wesley has passed the turn to Leon, but Leon seems to be considering a burn spell to the dome at end of turn.
We do see him have Lightning Strike mana.
He's going to Magma Jet.
And we see Lightning Strike in response. Wow.
He still gets the token though, and he does get the Scry before he goes into his next turn. So Leon has filter on his draws, and he has advantage on the board.
1 token, much better than an army.
Yeah.
For Wesley, anyway.
Wesley still needs a second mountain, or he's never going to get into this game. Looks like Leon has drawn another Magma Jet, which he'd have kept on top with his Scry.
The Scry is very relevant in this game.
So Leon is now starting to get more aggressive. He's got 2 damage on Wesley from the Magma Jet and another one from the Soldier. So Wesley's down to 17. And that is a Satyr Fire Dancer, which means that any damage that Leon does to Wesley, he can deal the same amount of damage to one of Wesley's creatures as well. So he can remove Wesley's creatures at the same time as dealing damage to him directly.
Which puts Wesley in a very bad position if he animates that Mutavault.
Even if he doesn't, he's just not doing anything. And that's not how you win Magic games.
With only 1 red mana, I highly doubt he will be doing anything for the rest of this game.
He needs to draw another mountain, and he needs it right away, or he's in trouble. Yeah, that's a Magma Jet dealing 2 damage to Wesley and another 2 damage to the Cackler. That's great value for Leon, because he gets another chance to scry.
And he's keeping them both on top.
Seems like Leon...
It looks like he drew into another Lightning Strike.
He now has 5 lands out, so he's able to play a Chandra's Phoenix and keep mana open to shoot down an animated Mutavault. Wesley's now making... Wesley has conceded. He didn't get that second mountain, and he never got going.
We can also see Leon holding plenty of answers to whatever Wesley could have provided.
Yeah, anything that Wesley could have played for the next few turns, Leon could have killed. So our winner in the second round is Leon Schlechter, who goes to a record of 2-0 and will be staying at the feature match table for the next round. We'll be back soon with round 3.